Yes.
One. Okay. I know that you're U.S. Sharp U.S.
You got to speak up loud.
Sorry, I know you're from Sharp U.S., but one of the questions we get at the HDTV test a lot is this ever coming to Europe?
Based on the licensing agreement that we Sharp have with Pioneer, that licensing agreement is strictly for North America. So at the moment there are no talks about bringing it to Europe. That could change, but at present there are no talks.
So that covers the technology as well, not just the name. You couldn't put it out under different branding.
No. Okay. Exclusive relationship between the two companies.
Sure. Any other questions? Yes.
Can you give an update on the pulsing problem?
Pulsing problem.
The flickering that happens in the background?
Firmware update 2.17 greatly reduces the incidence of that. We've seen it specific to some content. Still occasionally will happen. When you turn off local dimming, the problem goes away completely. But this 2.17 firmware upgrade greatly reduces the incidence of the pulsing. So we made some good progress there.
Okay. Are you expecting further enhancements to remove it completely, or?
A lot of it, to be honest, with the further testing that we've been doing, has been source related more so than trying to trigger something in the panel. So we don't have any plans to look at pulsing anymore. But certainly, if there is a new issue that presents itself around that, then there'll be more.
Also, if I may interject, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe it exhibits itself in the ISF modes at all.
I
So
believe
if
you're
you get
right.
it calibrated,
THX
and
movie,
have-
it's very hard to say.
I think
in
THX
ISF.
mode, it doesn't
happen at all.
I think THX mode.
It does happen in THX.
It's extremely minimal and very difficult to see. I would challenge anybody to prove otherwise.
And another reason to get it ISF calibrated.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't doing that selfishly. But I've had some reports back from my clients that they don't see it at all in the ISF mode. So, I don't know if that's every
there.
single
It
one
is
of
there.
them or not, but.
My friend Michael owns the Elite, and before he had come over to calibrate the television, we had noticed it. And ever since the TV's been calibrated, we have not seen it.
So there you go. You're in the ISF mode. So that's. I mean, that's right from you.
Any other questions?
When local dimming is on, is it set at low, or is it set?
When local dimming's on, it's actually turning a lot of the IVC stuff off, but not everything. There's certain things in the panel inherently that we cannot turn on.
So
and
low
off.
would be brighter
Right.
than just on.
Exactly.
Okay.
It'll be slightly brighter. My
It's
personal
actually
preference.
doubly.
Is it
doubles
really?
the light output, because what I do when I calibrate these is I use on setting only for the night mode, and the one up from that advanced low doubles the light output. And I usually use that for day mode, because at 70, 80 foot lamberts, that's usually an effective enough day mode to get done what needs to be done.
I've got a question about
Yes.
the full colours.
Yes.
Right? So you can make yellow with red plus green, right?
Yes.
But you can't make blue.
Right.
So do you have a larger blue pixel in order to compensate for that, or are all of the pixels completely
They're actually
full
not
color?
the same size. I do believe I'd have to check with the magnifying glass. You know the size difference? I think red and green might be divided in half, so those are actually a little bit smaller. So the blue is bigger versus the red or the yellow.
There's if I can add here, interject, there's an interesting thing with the Sharp LCD panels that I don't think any other vendor does, and that is most of the other displays are using a stripe array, so it's maybe a red, green, blue, whereas the Sharp panel seems to, I think it's called a delta configuration, so maybe you have red, green, blue in one line, then the line underneath is green, blue, red. So if you look at really close, like magnifying glass level, you can see it's almost like a kind of weaved effect. I don't know. I wonder if that's for power consumption reasons or.
That varies, I think, per manufacturer or per area, because I don't think that's the case here in the States.
Okay.
So it might just be a slightly different panel that we're using over there. But if you have a magnifying glass as an example, you can stick it up to the lens and see they're particular in this particular panel, straight lines across. Yes.
Bruce, why did Pioneer get out of the business of manufacturing? And adjunct to that question, like looking here where you see a lead,
yep.
Is Sharp just capitalizing from a marketing point of view?
There's definitely a partnership there.
On a well-known name?
There's definitely a partnership there. So Pioneer is heavily involved in this particular product. You cannot sell the Elite product unless you are a Pioneer Elite dealer. So it's much, much harder to get involved with. They actually deal with it mostly sales of the television on their end. They also helped with the development of it and a couple of picture mode creations that they played around with. During the development of this TV, we actually sent it to Pioneer's corporate headquarters and had them play around with this, give us feedback on what the TV looked like, and then send it back. The Pioneer is very heavily involved with this. They would never let anyone put that particular name on a TV unless they thought it was an excellent television.
And why did they stop manufacturing?
I can't necessarily answer that for Pioneer. I do know that their TV division lost money, and lost money almost year over year, for I think about, I don't know, 6 years roughly, so that might have something to do with it. If you can't make money on it.
There are a number of elements to that story.
Yeah, a lot.
There was a lot of different things that went on to lead to that happening, but that's the key one. They were extremely expensive, but they were also manufacturing with the original glass manufacturing, which meant that they were making each panel one at a time, as opposed to with the mother glass method, where you can stamp out multiple panels and ramp up your volume, which obviously will drop your costs. That was the main reason.
It seems that Pioneer wasn't the only company that lost money. It seems that this year Sony has lost billions, Panasonic has done rather badly, and Sharp has also done badly. What is going to happen to these? What is your prediction is going to happen to these
My
sets in the
personal
future?
predictions are you're going to see prices go back up. They have to. There's already been an increase this year, I think, of 11% increase overall in prices on average. Right now, literally now, is the best time, in my opinion, to buy TVs, because I don't think they'll ever be this cheap again. I mean, you're dealing with a 60-inch television that becomes very expensive. That's why you're also seeing a lot of companies, I think Samsung actually addresses it in the presentation, that they're starting to do price protection type stuff, fixing their price, unilateral pricing,
Yeah.
what they're calling it.
It seems
So
that
you're saying you go
Sony has just done that
Mhm.
too, and I think Panasonic and some
Sure.
of the other companies have also done that. But then you have the other companies which present competition, like Vizio and some of the other companies. I'm wondering if this is a losing battle, or if on the opposite side, if the high-end sets will be the sets that will be the ones that can break out from this.
Well, the high-end sets have, I think, the best ability to do it, because you're looking at the major players in the industry that are losing money, and they're selling TVs more expensively than the low-end stuff. So the low-end companies can't be making much money either. So what you're probably going to see is an entire swing, in my opinion, of prices starting to climb back up a little bit.
Yeah. So last year, I guess the major point that was identified with the Elite was the color accuracy and the sign issue.
Yes.
And at the time when I was here, and I'm sure it was you, but the Sharp, I think it was a different Sharp representative, said that a firmware fix would be forthcoming in 4 weeks' time.
Sure.
So I just wondering
What
was the story
on that particular issue?
Yeah.
We have seen it isolated on panels. Some panels have more problems than other panels do generally. We're working vigorously on correcting that issue overall. The one thing that we did notice from last year is they spotted it on this TV and this TV only on one color. So they kind of isolated that to show off what was going wrong with this particular TV. They've now decided to do color tracking on every single television, and no TV back here is spot on perfect.
One of them is real close.
One of them's very close.
Real close. Yeah.
But overall, each of the TVs on the wall, except for maybe one, does have some issues. That does have some color tracking issues. So we were isolated last year as having a major problem there, but most of the TVs in that competition also had some issues as well.
Would you believe that the particular Sharp TV that is being used with the Shootout is representative of all of the Sharp TVs?
Can I answer that part, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Embarrassingly, we didn't know it because we
Yeah.
don't take product from the manufacturers. We open up random inventory from our inventory and we put them up here. If we see something blatantly wrong, we would try another sample. But we won't take a manufacturer's piece, although they offer them to us, we save us thousands of dollars. We trust all these companies, but we want to trust in what Reagan said, trust and verify. So we just take the inventory of our own. We didn't know it. but we took a extremely poor sample out. We didn't know it was a poor sample. So even with their hands tied behind the back, I'm proud to say they still won last year. We were surprised that they won because it was the first year an LED ever won. But they won basically, I think, because of the dynamic range of contrast. It's so bright, it's so black, it doesn't clip, it doesn't crush, and everybody's eyes were amazed at last year. This year, the competition's a lot stiffer. Everybody's really upped the game quite a bit, and so we'll see what happens this year. It's probably still the blackest, but we had defective.
Yeah, it is.
We had a defective sample last year. We didn't even know it. We discovered the tracking problem when we put up all the panels, and we saw that the cyan wasn't bright. It was too blue. So we did a lot of work on it. Actually, Ed and Kevin did most of it, and they tracked each IRE, each luminance level of each and every color, and we gave them a complete engineering report. They are working on it, and it seems to be a very small sampling of the inventory, so it's difficult to put your finger on it. But we had a defective sample last year. I think, as Brad wisely said, other than one panel up on the wall, nobody's tracking color perfectly on all the colors. And last year, no TV tracked colors perfectly when we were doing our shootout last year. But we just...
We don't know that because we didn't measure them all year.
Yeah, we didn't measure them as
chances are they didn't. Certainly track. I mean,
I remember Samsung was really good last year.
Samsung's color was very good.
Yeah, but it also had some issues that we discovered later in the year after having more experience in the field and calibrating more. But to go back and answer your question on this one, I calibrated this one for this event, and I've done about 30 of them in the field. And the answer is yes, I believe it is representative of everything that I've calibrated that's not defective in any way. So,
we've replaced that sample, and we've sent that one back for credit. So. We've replaced that, so this is a fresher sample.
Very good. Yes?
I have a suggestion. For some reason in ISF mode, you don't lock out the IBC, obviously. Right. You actually turn it off during calibration and then it comes back on. But why do you also lock out like the motion, which you figure you might want to change? You might want to let the user change.
We gave this TV to ISF though, and they told us exactly how they want the TV set. So what we did was just block out all those settings so that the customer can't mess up that mode, because that mode in THX's mind is set to exactly where they want it.
Yeah, but like the pull down and motion control.
ISF, or did you say?
No, ISF.
No,
ISF.
what you're talking about is if you get it calibrated in ISF mode, that gets locked, and you don't have access to anything except for the IBC.
Right. What I'm saying is you should be able to at least access the motion control, because that's really has nothing to do with the color calibration or that kind of stuff.
Not really. Maybe that's true. Maybe they should unlock that.